And welcome back to part 27 of Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne, where today we're on our way to Mifunashiro, which is the temple at the very end of Asakusa. So you can run on down from Asakusa, or you can just warp there if you hopped in the terminal when you were there the last time. But when you do arrive at Mifunashiro, you'll realise that, well, the Manikins are gonna go from a potential race of beings to a non-existent one. With Chiaki's firm belief that the strong should thrive and the weak should perish, of course she was eventually going to go to the Manikins and massacre a lot of them and commit absolute genocide against them. So I hope you like the Manikins, because they're gone. There is no response for them. But it also means that we can finally now progress into the actual temple, because we were not allowed in beforehand. And it becomes our next dungeon. And after doing the obelisk, Yoyogi Park, and the Amala Temple without too much space in between, having a dungeon like this, where it's very short, very linear, doesn't have any gimmicks or puzzles you have to learn, you just work your way through it, and then you fight the boss at the end, and you move on, is very welcomed. There are these guys in here that you need to be wary of. These guys reflect physical, so you have to use magic on them. You can encounter them in the second Kalpa of the Labyrinth of Amala, but they're an extremely rare encounter. Like, throughout the entirety of my recording, I only bumped into one when I was in the second Kalpa, throughout the entire stretch of that recording back then. So they are very rare. We're going to die. You can see all the angels that support Chiaki's reason running around and flying around, pressing forward into later stratums. The dungeon as a whole is extremely easy. I think the most depressing thing is that they decide to make mannequins encounters in here, and I don't really understand why. Like, it would make sense if you had already sided with Chiaki's reason by now. If you encountered them in here, then it would make sense. But because we haven't, it doesn't make sense at all. They just show up and they start fighting us. Like, well, dude, we've been on your side the whole thing. Why are you fighting us? Oh, there's an item down there, though. And because of, like, the open design of this dungeon, you can always see where you need to go to get through. And you can always kind of see very quickly what path you need to take. But because of almost all of the demons you'll encounter here are supporters of Chiaki's reason, they are going to be angels, and so they're going to be weak to curse and dark. Well, more predominantly dark than curse, but still. So coming here with Mamudun might actually be a very strong idea. But on the flip side, a lot of them are going to have Mahame on, so don't walk in with a Magatama that will make you weak to light. Which means swerve Satan for now. Even if you're trying to level it up, just swerve it for now. Futomimi's also still alive in here somewhere, so it'd be nice to try and save him. You know, like the kind of the head honcho of the mannequins. But this dungeon, it kind of... Like, I remember on my blind playthrough when I was like originally going through it, it kind of just came out of nowhere, it felt like. Like, I knew that eventually something was going to happen to the mannequins, and because of the fact they were like fake people, I kind of gathered they weren't going to have the happiest of endings. But it just seems like, oh, by the way, Chiaki's massacring them, go check it out. And you're like, huh? Okay. No one deserves to finish off the arrogant mud puppet, Futomimi. But as you press on down here, you can see your first little save terminal just right there, sitting kind of cozy, with more blood splatters and people here, there, and everywhere. But you can already see what I mean, hopefully. This dungeon, compared to what we've done, this dungeon is very, very relaxing in terms of challenge and expectation. You can always kind of see where you need to go. There isn't any puzzles or gimmicks that, like, stretch it out. It's not a long dungeon. I think it's 3 stratums and then the boss. The only thing is that this part is going to have the first of 2 instances where there's a boss that is optional, that's on the main path of the game. And what I mean by this is that if you are siding with Chiaki the whole way through, you will have a boss fight against Futomimi at the end of this dungeon. But if you are not siding with her, or siding with anyone else for that matter, essentially doing any other ending that isn't Chiaki's, you won't do that fight. So it is a technically optional fight, and it's the only boss fight in this entire run that I will not be covering because I'm going for a different ending. There is another boss not too far from here as well on the main path that is also optional, but I will be doing that one because that one is if you refuse to side with someone's reason, you fight an extra boss, which is fine for us since we're refusing everyone anyway. It vexes me how mud puppets cling to their futile dream. A world without hierarchy, where those with potential huddle side by side with miscreants and divide what little happiness they have. As followers of Yasuga, we do not tolerate such blind altruism. Precisely. We must destroy their hopes before an atrocity such as that can even begin to take shape. Don't you agree? No, they can live however the fuck they want. Are you sympathizing with the mud puppets? So be it. After we finish off the mud puppets, Lady Chiaki's god shall descend upon us. Once you witness that magnificent sight, surely your heart shall be swayed. Farewell. The angels left. At some point I'm going to go do those reason endings, and I'll probably record them when I eventually do, but they'll just be like very, very sporadic one-off videos. Also, Chimera wanted to learn Kidnap, and I just swerved it. I was like, eh. And I get a Strength Incense. And I was like, as soon as I got that, I had to kind of grin to myself. I was like, God damn it. Because my strength is at 30. So I don't want to put another strength on it, because it would be wasteful. Because the final Magatama, as I keep saying, adds 10 to everything. So it would be a worthless use. So I keep hold of it. And I just, you know what, when I make my endgame team, like when I start pushing towards the true final dungeon, I will just put a Strength Incense on one of them at that point. Even though the incenses as a whole are almost entirely designed to be for you, since you can artificially boost your demon stats through the Matamas. But we're already at the end. Over here's the door to the end of the third stratum. There's Thunderclap. Thunderclap, as I said before, is light-based, which is why I don't go for it. And if it connects, it will half whatever the health is. It's percentage-based. Treat it like gravity in Final Fantasy, where it just halves the health. That's what it does. But I get an agility incense, so I use that because I'm not going to say no. But when you open the door, you'll go to the mirror chamber. Once you're ready to fight the boss, because you will still fight a boss even if you don't agree with Chiaki, it's just you fight a different one if you do agree with her. When you're ready, take the chamber down, only once you're prepared, and be ready for your next boss fight. Oh, this is pretty. Shame it's all about to go to hell, isn't it?
Arrogant puppet. You misunderstand your purpose. Return to the mud you came from. You're so weak, yet you struggle so hard to live, daring to dream of power. That was your sin.
Please, lend us your aid. If you don't stop this woman, we will be massacred.
Ha! Ah.
You would never partake in such a brutal act, would you? Your heart is unlike any demon's, is it not?
You don't comprehend the reason of Yosuga. You let the weak deceive you, so you forfeit your right to inherit the world with the strong. Why were you given a demon's body? You don't know the answer yourself, do you? Don't bother saying anything. You're no longer needed. Goodbye.
3 of the 4 main angels that watch over the heavens are now standing in front of you to act as your next boss fight. One of them is the dedicated healer, so if you remember what we did in the obelisk, you'll know what to do with this encounter. Go for the healer first. There's another one that will spam either Tetrakan or Makarakan most turns, so you'll become more limited to either only being able to use physical next turn or only being able to use magic next turn, acting with the last member just being the aggressor, the one actually trying to kill you. So similar to the Moray sisters, it is a pick which one's the biggest threat for you and work your way down. It's just they're tougher than the Moray sisters. And the healer will become rather aggressive to you if you're not doing anything to justify them needing to heal. So spending all this time nerfing them will just keep them in like a patterned loop. So I keep it as that. And lucky for us, because the boss can, well, one of the 3 can use Makarakan instead of Tetrakan, it means that the physical side of things with Demi-Fiend can have some prominence. Oh, there's Tetrakan. Oh, and Beast Eye as well. Forgot you had Beast Eye, which adds 2 extra turns. There they go. Alright, that's a little problematic though. If it circles all the way around, I think that's Raphael on the left. Like, I'm kind of waiting until I go to click on one so I make sure. Because I think the middle one is Gabriel. And I think the one on the end is Uriel. But I might be getting muddled with my angels. Because I always forget the angel designs in Atlas titles. But I'm pretty sure the one on the left is Raphael at least. But I just can't remember what the other 2 are. I'm pretty sure neither of them are Michael. I'm pretty sure that is Gabriel and Uriel. It's just which way around they are. Because Michael's a bit more grander in terms of how the... yeah, there we go. It's Uriel. I need to scroll back for it. I went straight too quickly for it. Yeah, okay, yeah, they are exactly the order I think they are. Okay, I'm going only for the healer, so I'm not getting to see the other ones quick enough. Oh well. That was a very fortunate... Well, I'm prioritizing the one on the right. The fact that that was the one that critted, I was like, oh, I'll take that. That's the result. There's another Makarakan. Not that it matters. And it uses Beast Eye instead of healing, which surprised me, because I would have thought it would have gone straight for it. But then this wastes its turn by going for a light-based skill. But because I did remember to change my Magatama to be immune to light, this boss can't hurt anyone in our team right now. So let's go for Gabriel next. I said, yeah, you don't encounter Michael in this game. Which is odd, because you can fuse Michael. He is in this, you just don't fight him as a boss. You just fight the other 3 of the 4. And you do fight the right hand of God as well. If you're used to Megaton games, you know that they keep Metatron as well, which is the voice of God in old literatures and whatnot. Metatron will fight a little later on, but we're not there quite yet. We're still a couple videos short, but we are going to get there. In fact, we're actually approaching something I wanted to warn you guys on, is that later in this video, we are going to actually encounter the final fiend, which means not only does the 4th Kalpa open up, but the 5th Kalpa by extent will start to become available to us, because we've just got to do a simple puzzle to open it after we've done the 4th floor. Or the 4th Kalpa even. It ends up taking up 4 videos to do everything I want to do, because the 4th and 5th Kalpa are far longer, and they have bosses at the end of each of them. So after this video, starting with the next one, it's going to be 4 Labyrinth of Amala videos in a row, which I know might get a little tedious, but it's so I get it all done, and we can go back to the main plot and burn through it afterwards. You see, as soon as the second one's down, I just spam rush the last, and then there you go. So that boss is not difficult at this point. I find it to be actually one of the easier late game bosses, full stop. But we get Thunderclap ourselves, which I throw away. Because the only reason I went for this was because of its null for light. But now we're done. Unfortunately, Futomimi didn't make it.
I'm impressed he didn't die screaming like the others. But he won't get in my way again. He had so much Magatsuhi stored here. It's hilarious. He really thought a mud doll could conceive a reason? I think it was all meant for me in the first place. With this Magatsuhi, I can finally bring my reason into being. The god who once died is returning to us now. Let us lay the sacred cloth across the coffin. The soul shall remain affixed and never leave us again! By this woman's wish, I have come to create the kingdom of Yosebeth. I am Baal Avatar, paragon of virtue and might, bringer of glory. I see the awakening of opposing forces. One has already emerged in Samnam, and another is about to rise in Ginza at this very moment. I too endeavor to build a kingdom. A land of beauty awaits.
Two of the three reasons have now been fully realized. Firstly, we've got Noah, and now we've got the Baal Avatar. There's only one left for us to witness be born, and then the tower towards Kagutsushi can start to be unveiled. The path to the light, the path to the moon. That's what I mean. Like, so when you get to this third act, it starts to fly by. It was only last video we got like piece 1, and now we're on just did piece 2. There's only one more piece, and then we can start pushing towards the grand finale. Obviously, we're going to detour a little bit, because as I said before, we've got another fiend to fight. If every single other fiend in the game has been defeated by this point, so that is Matador, that is Hellbiker, that is Daisojo, that is all 4 horsemen, that is Dante by extent, or Raido if you're playing the Chronicles version, and Mother Harlot. As you proceed onwards to start heading towards the Diet Building, which is our next destination in the plot, because it's where the Reason of Stillness brought on by Hikawa is being developed. So we got to go to the Diet Building, which is next to the Temple of Amala. It's just you have to go the long way around to get to it. So you need to kind of feel your way out, and you might notice that there's a subway station we've yet to visit. There's an underground train station we've yet to actually go into, because you couldn't up until this point, but now you can. So when you're ready, you need to go to Ginza, and that, you know, that giant ass bridge that circles all the way around, go all the way around that as if you was heading back to the Assembly of Nihilo, but then go past it all the way to the top where that train station is. I made a point of mentioning it the last time we was there. Remember where that is, because we'll be coming back for it later. Going to that subway station will lead us to the next fiend. It will lead us to the final optional Magatama that isn't purchased, like the final missable one, I suppose. Even though that's not the right word for it, because none of them are missable. You can go back for all of them. But it's the last one you could miss. I think it's the best way to put it. But just by not knowing it's there. And then also finally be able to proceed through that subway dungeon, that subway mini dungeon, to make it to the Diet Building. And the Diet Building acts as the final dungeon of this act and the penultimate dungeon of the entire game. But coming over here, you back at the Nyx's bar, you'll get all the hints you need to work out to go to that train station. It's always worth going back to Nyx's bar in Ginza if you ever get lost in this game, because she will often help you out. And it's also somewhere you need to go to get to the 5th Kalpa and the Labyrinth of Amala, so we'll be going back there one more time before the end of the game anyway. Oh, the humans grow restless. Oh, I'm running out of repulse spells. I think it's after this video. It's actually during this video, because this is the video I was talking about a while ago, where I said I lost about 90 seconds of footage. And so I just walked backwards and then walked through it again. This is the video where it happens. I have an on-screen, like, notification that will pop up for you guys when that happens, in case I'm talking about other stuff. But hopefully I'll be able to point it out and talk about it, and I won't be too invested in talking about something else. But during that time gap, I went back and... Well, not during that time gap, because that was just 90 seconds bit. I mean, like, when I started cutting away afterwards, I went back to the first Kalpa in the Lamp of Amala and finally got that demon I keep on talking about. The one that has it so you can use a smoke ball whenever, you can use a repulse spell whenever, because it's basically got it all as skills. But when you enter here, the moment you enter, if you've killed every single other fiend, the menorah will react to you. And if you decide to stay here, you'll be able to fight against the final fiend, which is kind of exciting in its own respect.
Little lamb that struggled through darkness and clung to life. You have done well until now. I watched as you prevailed over many adversaries. I am the Trumpeter. It is I who will announce the end of time. I have come to see if you are worthy of standing with us in the final battle, where my trumpet will at last sound. Show me your incomparable strength. Let me see the raging heart of a demon, and amidst the pandemonium of our battle, hold nothing back. Demi-Fiend, you have been branded with our master's seal. You must take the last menorah to the bottom of the abyss and meet our master there. That is, of course, if you can defeat me, the last of the fiends. Seize the last menorah from my hand for the future of all demons of chaos! I shall sound my trumpet when 8 breaths have been spent. It is then that the weak shall receive salvation or death. Behold the salvation of the Lord!
Trumpeter is a very unique fight that can turn on you very quickly if you're not paying attention. The gimmick is that every 8 breaths, treats it as every 4 turns, every 4 instances of it becoming Trumpeter's turn, it will alternate between using a skill that will make whoever's health is the lowest in the match be fully restored, or it will do the alternate, which is whoever's health is the lowest in the field will die. Both include Trumpeter himself, so you need to be wary of that. When the fight starts, however, it's kind of scripted that the very first instance of him using the healing melody, the holy melody, will be used on Demi-Fiend. Then he will use the normal death one, which is whoever's health is the lowest will just die, which in our instance is going to be Daisojo, so I start prepping around that. But then when it goes to the next holy melody, another 4 turns after that, he almost always only uses it on himself. So don't stress and be like, oh god, he had the lowest health, he had less health. No, he always seems to use it on himself no matter what, but then after that the gain is afoot, and you have to start working with the gimmick. I think the reason why he has it scripted so he uses it on himself is to inform the player that if his health happens to get lower than yours and you don't kill him, another holy melody coming around could be fatal for you. Because you could completely reset the entire fight. Just, you know, with your MP not shifting to reset with it. But as a whole, this fight isn't too bad. The biggest thing you just got to do is pay attention to the turn count. You really need to pay attention to the turn count. So you'll always alternate between the evil melody and the holy melody, with the holy healing whoever's lowest and the evil killing whoever's got the least amount of health. But once you've got into a pattern and you recognize when to heal Like, it might be an idea to bring a very weak demon, and when you know that a evil melody is about to come round, swapping out one of your demons you care about for that weaker one, so they take the bullet. But I decide to just ride it out, because it's like, well, I have Massacre, so I can just get Daisojo back afterwards. Here it comes. Coward, the arrival of death. I know he said it, but whatever. There goes Daisojo. It cannot be blocked or anything, it's just something that happens. So now we're Daisojo down, so I just Sacred Calm him back, and I know I can then just bring him back into the party later and it'll be fine. Which is exactly what I do right now. So for me, that's what I mean by it didn't bother me, because it's like, well, it takes 2 seconds out of my time to do that. It's not a huge waste of resources to bring him back. Him using Mega Delay on after a Decage is kind of mean, though. He gets rid of all your buffs and then follows it up with the heavy almighty attack. But I'll say that, I appreciate that this is Nocturne and not SMT4. Because in SMT4, they introduced a additional almighty attack that was a stage above Mega Deleon. And I'm not going to be able to pronounce it, so I'll put it on screen as I go to say it. But Antishan, I think? Oh, so I might be pronouncing that completely wrong, and that's fine. Like, it says that other pronunciations in different languages are things like Anticotin, so it's like, it's a difficult one to work out, but Antiphian, or Antishian, or Antishan, is an almighty attack that is a stage above the Mega Deleon, so it does more damage, it counts as like a tier 4, but it also doubles over as a Debilitate. And to be a reminder, Debilitate is a skill that lowers the opponent's stats by 1 level. Every single stat by 1 level, so it will lower their attack, magic attack, hit, and evasion and defense. Having it be an almighty attack that hurts them and debilitates all enemies by 1 level is wild. And the thing is that they actually nerfed the hell out of it in 4 Apocalypse. Because in SMT4, its base power level was 400, so that's 400 plus all your magic stats, so it hit like a truck. Cost 80 MP, which is pretty heavy, but it is what it is. In 4 Apocalypse, they lowered its power from 400 to 190, made its MP cost 110. And they made it that Debilitate only kicks in if you've got a Smirk condition. Smirk is a positive states condition in 4, where if you land a weakness on an enemy or land a critical hit, your character will go into a Smirk state where they'll become slightly more powerful, their hit and evasion goes through the roof, and their next attack is guaranteed to be a critical no matter what. So they made it in 4 Apocalypse that if you want to Debilitate, you have to be in Smirk when you want it, otherwise it will just be a heavy-hitting Mega Deleon. But so I'm glad that skill isn't in this game, because that would be so goddamn brutal. But I say, even then, like in 4, not that many demons even had it. I think it was only like 3 or 4 demons that got it inherently. So if you wanted it yourself, you had to go out and get like very specific with the demon hunt. When you keep in mind there's a lot of demons in 4 and 4 Apocalypse, like more than any other Atlas title, you have to know where you're going to try and get them, assuming you don't just get really lucky getting coincidence. Especially in 4 Apocalypse, because in 4 Apocalypse I think it's only 1 demon that has it in the whole game. And the reason why I recall that is because I got it in base 4, but I never got it in 4 Apocalypse. And it's just a really odd thing like that, but it is how it is. But you see, now I'm pushing for the kill on Trumpeter. Now another healing melody has come and gone. Before it ends up killing another member of my party. And I think there's a point where, I think it's either Pavati or Chimera, but one of them gets... Oh no, it's got to be Chimera, because I keep on using that. And I let it ride out.
Shines like the brightness of noon. Cower at the arrival of death.
Yeah, I let it ride out to let Chimera go, because Chimera's done a lot of justice, but Daisojo is just more valuable. So instead of like healing, I deliberately used Iron Claw for the free damage and then let him go. Because I can Sacred Calm to bring him back later, but it's just the Daisojo is more important right now. Especially because I was expecting another Decage to come by, which it thankfully didn't. Oh, nearly dead. If he's staggering like this, that's when you really need to be trying to push for the kill, because if another healing melody comes along, there's a good chance you'll have less health than you and get all his health back.
Alas, my soul fades.
Yeah, you're nearly gone, Trumpeter. We just gotta kill you in 3 more turns. Oh, unfortunate, Trumpeter. Okay, I don't even bring Chimera back. I just push straight for the murder. I'm like, no, this guy's going down now. Yeah, I'm just literally going, look, he's going down soon. It's fine. Until it's not. Now I'm at this point, I'm like, I expect him to be dead by now. Then there's another healing melody coming along. We might be in trouble if he doesn't die this turn. Yeah, and eventually I'm like, well, I don't have enough press turns to cycle it round, so I just push, and thankfully it is enough. And I get the Menorah of Glory. We now have every single Menorah, so we can access the entirety of the Labyrinth of Amala. This is where I lost footage. It's coming up like right about now. I proceeded onwards and started a side quest, and then left to have the side quest advance. I'll explain what it is since I didn't get to show it, but essentially when you enter at the Yurakusho station, or Yurakushio, if you take the west bracket and then hug the north wall, you will go to a secret part of the tunnel where there is a dude trying to dig a hole because he's adamant there's treasure on the other side, and he will ask you to leave a demon behind. If you do so, that demon will die, so be wary of what one you pick. It's around here where I'm standing, which is why I stand still here for a minute. And then you have to leave, and then you have to pass moon cycles. So well, you don't have to leave, it's just moon cycles have to pass. It's just moon cycle passes far quicker when you're in the overworld. So that's what I did. I gave him a strong-ish demon to make it so it was like done in 4 cycles. Left, ran around, then came back in. When you came in, because you helped him, but he did the heavy work, he says, you take 2 treasures, and I'll take the other 2. What a lot of people will say is don't take the closest left where the Keymon Stone is, because that's a key item, and because it's a key item, you'll get it anyway. So you'll actually get free items, because you'll say I have no purpose for it. But the reason why I just pick it up anyway is because the other 2 items I didn't consider worth it enough to care about. Like, it was like pocket change and an item. No, it was this pocket change and a diamond. But with that Keymon Stone, go all the way back to Asakusa, leave from the west exit as if you were heading towards Yogi Park, and you might recall that there was a temple right at the top that was locked. We can now use that Keymon Stone to unlock it. This will lead us to the last Magatama, ignoring brought ones, that you can get. Which means after this, the only Magatama missing is the one that is only available to buy once we get to the final dungeon of the game. So essentially, if you've done this, you're on the path to 100% just fine. So it is you, Robert, who has broken my seal. I have heard rumors of you, but I sense something different about you. You are not an ordinary demon, are you? That's right. Ha! I knew it. Then show me what power you possess. Do you accept Bishamoten's challenge? Yes, I do. I guarded the Tokyo of old with my comrades. I shall show you my power. And you get this optional boss fight. This is a teaser of what's to come later on, because this is not the only time you'll get to fight him. There's another optional boss fight we'll be doing later on, where we fight him at full power, and it's actually a really tough boss. Him and his comrades that defended Tokyo of old are all actually surprisingly brutal bosses late game. And I know like all the bosses late game should be pretty tough, but you have your setup so built and rounded to whatever you're going for that a lot of the bosses start to fall into a bit of a domino effect as you get into late game. But the fact that him and his brethren are like absolute monsters to deal with when we fight them properly later on. Because essentially, to jump the gun slightly, I keep on mentioning that once you've got every single Magatama, there's a secret extra one that you can go for if you so choose, and that is the one that will boost all your stats but luck by 10 and make you immune to everything but almighty damage. Once you've got all the Magatamas, you have to fight him and all of his brethren in an optional dungeon. Well, you fight Bishomanatan, blah 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 blah, last. You fight this guy last. You fight the other 3 first. But you fight all 4 of these guys, and they are really goddamn tough. But they are excruciatingly difficult if you're not ready for them. I managed to get through them alright. Like, I didn't have too many casualties, and I didn't game over to any of them, so I'll take it. But they were all certainly significantly longer fights and closer fights than I would have liked. But that's not for later. Also, this is like the warm-up to give you an idea for what's later on. So this is nowhere near as difficult. You shouldn't have too much trouble against this guy, even if you're doing it the very second you're available to, like I am. You still shouldn't have too much trouble. Alternatively, because if you've been following on Just Fought Trumpeter, it might instead, if you're having a hard time with this boss, because this guy's a physical demon, go do at least the 4th Kalpa, because you'll level up so many times going through the 4th Kalpa. I wouldn't say do the 5th, because I think you'd over-level too much for this guy, and you'd defeat the point of the, defeat any of the challenge. But if you did the 4th Kalpa, then came back and fought this guy, firstly, it acts as a nice breather from the Labyrinth of Amala, but you'd feel a lot more confident, probably, to be able to handle this fight. And more comfortable. But there he goes. I say it isn't that bad, though. It's just, he's very powerful physically, and it gets a lot worse later. But now both my strength and vitality are maxed out, the rest of my levels I honestly didn't care that much for. So you're going to see me alternate between magic and agility, and maybe the occasional point in luck just for the hell of it. I would like to fight you again, but I must be going. Take this. You obtained the Magatama Gundari. If you have enough power to obtain all of these, then you'll be able to set foot into the world I am going to. If that should happen, then we shall meet again. And there goes Bishamoten, and if you're following along, you'll only be missing one Magatama now, ignoring the secret one. That is the one that is not available yet, because you have to buy it from a shop within the final dungeon of the game. But that being said, next time on SMT3 Nocturne, we're journeying back to the Labyrinth of Amala to begin the final push through it. But until then, take care guys. Peace.